Welcome, everybody. It's fabulous to see such a wonderful crowd here tonight for what promises to be a fascinating but also a very fun evening. I'm Virginia Mecklenburg, Chief Curator of the Smithsonian American Art Museum. Before we do anything else, my first mission is to say thank you to Clarice Smith on behalf of myself, the museum staff, and everybody here. Clarice Smith, as you know, makes all of these distinguished lectures possible, and they're very special evenings, as you can tell by the number of people who come. I also want to invite you back on November 5th, when Kathleen Foster will speak, again at 7 o'clock. And before I say anything else, Nona will fuss at me if I don't invite you to turn off your cell phones and any other electronic devices that beep or whistle. Well, tonight it's my very special pleasure to introduce you to one of the country's most insightful and, dare I say, irreverent critics. Jerry Saltz, as you all know, is the Senior Art Critic for New York Magazine, though many of us first became Jerry fans, if you will, when he was Senior Critic at the Village Voice. He's a truly remarkable writer, a 3-time nominee for the Pulitzer Prize in Criticism, winner of the prestigious Frank Jewett Mather Award in Art Criticism, and a lecturer who is in constant demand to speak at major universities. I'll just mention Columbia, Harvard, and Yale for starters. And if you're a frequent visitor to New York, you may have heard him speak at the Whitney, the Guggenheim, or the Museum of Modern Art. For those who would like some really choice reading, I suggest you take a look at his book. The title is amazing. It's called Seeing Out Loud, which is a collection of columns that he wrote for the Village Voice that came out in 2003, or, might I add, a follow-on book called Seeing Out Louder that was published by Hudson Hills Press in 2009. Jerry writes with a human touch that makes us laugh and also makes us think. His knowledge is enormous and his reach is broad. He once said, in fact, I hope you don't mind my quoting you, Jerry. It's always, something when the guy you're quoting is sitting in the front row. But he once said he almost lost it when he was looking at a figure carved around 4500 BC, because he realized he was seeing the very moment that our species came out of a Neolithic consciousness and into something else. He's written about the power of Monet's late paintings, about Georgia O'Keeffe's ideas about surface, scale, and color, the way Pollock's drip paintings have literally infiltrated the work of contemporary artists. And he appreciates that art can come from pretty much anything. He once said that some of the works in a show that he was reviewing looked like junk, but even so, he loved a lot of it because, and this is a quote, it shows how fluid and uncanny beauty and form can be. Ultimately, Jerry Saltz helps us understand that it's not an object's history or its age or the materials that it's made of, or even what the subject is that makes it count. When we read his work, we understand, sometimes I will say with a knowing chuckle, something about who we are and the way art connects us across cultures and times. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Saltz.
Testing 1, 2, can you hear me? Hello, Washington. It's great to be here. I do want to thank Clarice Smith. Thank you. It's great to be invited. We're living in a time, we all know it, we're living in a time where art and money are sleeping together. That's good. Art will sleep with anybody. I'm telling kings, popes, anybody. You. But, well, maybe. I pointed at her, sir. But we also know something that's happening. We're selling our patrimony insofar as these great or terrible collections, many of them cookie cutter collections that have the same work. I go to your house, your house, your house, your house. And now we see the exact same pieces. I think you know what I'm referring to. You can substitute any name. I am not saying whether those artists are, can we turn off that one, or does that have to be there? Because I'm looking at a big blue light like you're all Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Corey? Or Zach? Anyway, no, there's two people. There's two people. I remembered their names. What's going to happen to most of that art is it's sold at auction for higher and higher prices, and museums cannot afford anything. Anything. Even you young artists, how many artists are in the room? I'd like to see. Ugh, look around you people, you're surrounded. More than half of you. God pity, God love you. Sorry. Most of this art will be sold. The problem with that is the collector, I'm an American, I want everyone to have money. Money is what we do, we're fine, I'm not against it. I think maybe you keep a few Picassos and the Monet for the children and the grandchildren. You get a couple of $100 million to take care of your family. I'm good with that. And then you give the rest back. You give it to museums as a collection. As a collection, because this work can never be put together for the history of time again in one room. Now you're seeing, even crapola auctions, you'll suddenly see like 7 or 8, Robert Rauschenbergs. And they're all pretty good. But in a museum in, say, Atlanta, those would kill. Those 7 Rauschenbergs in one small room, boom. You see? And that's all you have to do. Those aren't, you don't even have to give away the $100 million Picassos. And so when anybody gives back, art world, we're the biggest complainers in the goddamn world. We're such babies, aren't we? Oh, we need more money, or they should do this, me. Listen, we are lucky to get anything. This isn't Europe, people. I love Europe, but in Europe, the state runs museums and can buy art and run art. Do you know what would happen in America if Washington, D.C.'s politicians ran our museums? Oh my God! It's Ebola of museums. Boom! Is that bad to say? Yeah, we have to make light of what we fear. So Clarice, thank you. And personally, thank you. I'm making the medium bucks tonight. Okay. Is that bad? Betsy Bruin, thank you. You're a child of the Midwest like I am, and my wife. And the Midwesterners, we have the hardest time in the art world because we really like where we're from. And then we go to one of the coasts, and it's like we are so weird when we get there. And we have these funny accents. I can't get rid of mine. I noticed you don't have it. I sound like a duck. And it's embarrassing. So thank you, Betsy. And Virginia Mecklenburg, great curator, thank you. And Nona Martin, where are you sitting right now? I owe you my life, wherever you are. She left. She hates me already. Oh, she's in the back. She went through just contacting me. I had spilled a full cup of hot tea. Have you ever done this? Directly on your computer? I would give it about 4 minutes, and the computer, gone, freezes. That's it forever. And so I lost all of our emails. And then before I begin, I just do really want to say, I really love this museum. I came down to D.C. First thing I did is call my wife and go, it's so easy to get here. Who knew? Who knew? I've been complaining for 20 years. Oh, I can't get there. I can barely go to Philly. So I was wrong. Critics can admit they're wrong sometimes. I was going to go to the National Gallery because that's one of the Gardens of Eden. And we're supposed to go there to commune with the ancestors. And then I started walking around this museum, and I was and am blown away. Why? Because we learn about art, not just by looking, how do you learn about the Himalayas? If I just showed you the peaks of K1 and Everest and whatever they're called there, those top 8 or 9 peaks in a row in Tibet or wherever they are, Nepal, you would not know, you would only know that there's these incredibly majestic somethings that go like this. A mountain range is understood in scale. Scale. Scale, not bigness. Scale is what we're interested in. In the valleys, in the nooks, in the ice fields, in the ice flows. There's so much lost pictorial and sculptural DNA in this building that if you locked 2 generations of artists just in this building, art would not die. There's that much raw, untapped DNA. Is all of it good? No, a lot of it's crap. But it's shocking how artists always redefine what's good. We all know, a lot of you in this room probably hate like Rococo artists like Fragonard. Any Fragonard haters? Yeah. You're wrong, babe. And Boucher. Watteau. Let me just tell you something. In the Rococo, they discovered our sort of fragile, loving selves. And they were on the brink of revolution. And they were painting this world that was about to poof away. Just poof in its own poofery, right? And in 16 years of the Rococo, they produced 4 geniuses. Fragonard, who's some of the sexiest, juiciest paint in the bloody history of the world. Incredible when you get up close. And Boucher, like a porn painter. And you can't believe what he's doing on the surface. And Watteau discovers our kind of solitude. You know that great painting of just, what's his name? Gilles, just standing alone. You know, nobody painted somebody just sort of standing around alone. And a guy we like to call Mozart. 4 geniuses of epic proportions in a period that is despised today. Many artists that you love were lost, come and go. And that's why I say you lock artists in a museum like this, or many museums, they're going to tap into some crap that you can't stand. And all of a sudden, it's like so-and-so becomes the greatest artist. And you start to see it. Other artists make us see art. Jackson Pollock, what did he do? Well, he tapped into something that had been with us since the beginning. Drips on the cave walls. They'd always been there. Every artist saw the drips. Every artist had to clean up the drips across his or her, well, women weren't allowed to make art for the first 50,000 years because men are assholes. We're so scared of women, it's insane. Oh my God, if they paint us, they're going to see us naked. That's why there were no great women artists before a certain time, so to speak, because they weren't allowed, as we all now know, to go to the academy to learn what great art was, because there are nude models there. Pollock picked up this found object that we call the drip and deployed it as subject matter and content, form and content. I want you to remember, when Picasso painted maybe the most insurrectionary painting in Western art history, the Mademoiselle, I can't pronounce it right, Mademoiselle's, see, the Midwesterners are like, oh, I don't know. Mademoiselle, what is it? That, which in Spanish and French means the whores of Avignon Street. okay? That's what that means. Those 5 women confronting you, if you're thinking about anything other than your visceral, kinesthetic self, if you are in your head or out of your body in any way, those women will destroy you. Possibly no 5 women have ever looked as directly at one time, in one way, focused, as in that insane painting. Now, when Picasso made that painting, very few people ever saw it. Isn't that amazing? A bunch of artists saw it. Matisse saw it, said, well, there seemed to be a little Cubi in it. He hated the painting. He went home and he knew that if he did not equal this work, that his time was over. Artists are sons of bitches and daughters of bitches. And Matisse answered back. And Picasso's painting, in fact, is an attempt to outdo Matisse's Blue Nude. Poor Matisse. Can you even imagine being Matisse? You are so good. You're so good it's mad. But you have a monster from Spain following you your whole fucking life. A fucking monster. Everything, and I love them both, okay? We're not having the Picasso-Matisse war. Come on, get out of here. So you like this one more, you like that one more, whatever. Just look at what Matisse does, and then about a year later, look at Picasso's painting, and he kind of goes, boom! Takes it. If there's a 3-legged table in a Matisse, wham! And I can make it go, poof, where yours is more like, poof, right? A great moment at the end. Poor Matisse, he can't walk. He can't get out of bed. He's had a colostomy, pulmonary aneurysm. He's had everything. He's in agony for the last 10 years. Agony. And when you see the paper cutout show, before Matisse worked, artists, listen to me. You think Matisse was about like comfortable armchair? Do you know what he said he felt like before he worked? Are you an artist? Who's an artist near me? Tell me if you feel this, you two or anybody. He said, before I work, I feel like I want to strangle somebody. Sound familiar? He's nodding. And then he said, when I work, it's like slitting an abscess. Artists are nuts. They're just crazy. Who knows what they're doing? Matisse was making the paper cutouts down there in the south of France, and Picasso started visiting him, always, with Francois Gillot, who he lived with at the time, and Gillot records that they were awestruck by the paper cutouts. She said, we sat like stones in the studio. Just shocked about what the implications of leaving, artists, are you listening for God's sake, of leaving the 4 sides of the painting behind, of going out. Remember we used to paint ceilings? We don't touch the ceiling anymore in our art. Very rarely. The space of the sublime used to be there. It used to be in fires. And then it got on the wall, and we can't get off the wall. We love doing this. We don't do a lot of this. Okay? Matisse went off the sides, and what he painted and what the paint was the same thing. Do you follow me? There is no illusion in that. He broke something. And of course, Picasso knew this. And Matisse records to his son, after one of these visits, he says, Picasso was here. He saw what he needed. He will put it all to good use in time. That's like you're 84. You can't walk. You can't go to the bathroom, and you've got a monster saying, I need to visit. You're home at 3 o'clock? You don't say no to Picasso. Pollock found something too. He found the drip. Have any of you been to any cave paintings? Anybody here? Yes, yes, yes. Are they not mind-boggling? I got led into a cave into Spain, not a big one, just over the Pyrenees, not a major cave. I mean, it was in France. Sorry, just over the Spanish Pyrenees north into France I drove. You with me geographically? I'm a very good parallel parker, too. And I made some appointment, and my wife and I went into the cave, and it was a tour, and they give you flashlights. We had to go with all the Americans, and already you're like, well, no, I'm European, actually. I cannot go with the Americans. So you go with the Americans, and we all have big fanny packs on. And we're talking the whole time, and our kids are vomiting on the cave. And I love us. I am us, just like you. So we're in, and I'm complaining, because I'm an American, the whole time. They only gave us a flashlight. For God's sake, I paid £3 for this, or €5. And then when we get to the cave, they say, please give us all your flashlights. And I said to my wife, oh no, I'm not doing that. I do not care. I'm an American. I'm keeping my flashlight. I gave my flashlight away. And then the guide went like this, poof, and turned on. And I saw, all I still remember is the back of a bison's hoof. And I knew in 1/100th of a second that this was not mumbo-jumbo, mystic, Christic magic. This was art. These were people that had looked at mammals for 100,000 years and had been rendering them for 100,000 years. Okay? How did they make them? I wish you artists would try stuff like this. They would take kind of clay and stuff, mix it with spit, and go for their handprints and pull their hand away. The first photograph, duh. They're getting a negative impression. And when you see these mammals, I venture as an art critic, mammals have never been rendered greater in the history of our species. If you can think of somebody that did it better, good. Unfortunately, they didn't paint people. How sad. Wouldn't it be great to see like portraits of like their fashion and tattoos, but that's not in there much. What's the second most common thing in the caves? Handprints. And the third? There's a lot of scribbling of numerical counting, dots, but the third most common thing, eros, it's eros. It's phalluses and vulvas. Thousands of them. Thousands of them. So that means, like when your parents are away, you look at like the dictionary for naughty definitions. Of my generation, that's as far as I could get. You've got the damn internet. My godchildren said to me when I was trying to protect them, they said, Godfather, we've seen everything on this earth. There's nothing you can even say that we haven't seen. I was like, whoa. And we also know something else in the caves. It's not surprising. It's obvious. 51% of those hands, women. Why? Because 51% of the population is always women. Men are pathetic. When Picasso made the Demoiselles, he asked his friends, is this a good painting? When Pollock made the first drip painting, he asked Lee Krasner, is this a painting? Hear the difference? Is this a good painting versus is this a painting? Am I still in the category that you might call art? I'm not asking you artists in this room to break categories. That's like inventing fire. Now, you may not like Pollock, But he deployed this thing that has been with us since the beginning as something. Artists, I especially want to address myself to you, but you all can listen in. Artists, I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you. It's really, really hard to do what you do, even though it seems like so easy to us. Oh God, they just sit around their studios like scribbling and watching TV and smoking cigarettes. Who knows what they do in there? I am proud of you for being willing to do what you do. Most people don't understand art. They don't understand artists. They don't understand what it is to be an artist. They don't quite understand that for you, to make art is more important than to eat or to breathe. Yes, I know you can't live without eating or breathing. I'm not talking literal. I'm talking about who and the thing you are. I'm really proud of you for that. And people always talk about not understanding your work, okay? What I would say to those people from now on is, we don't say, do you understand the Mozart? You don't ask people, do you understand music? You understand? That's the wrong term. We don't ask, do you understand a daiquiri or a vodka? It's a bodily knowledge. You understand? It's about experience and knowledge together, becoming one thing. There is no thought without a feeling. And there is no feeling without a thought. They go together. All of our post-Platonic need to divide the world into thought and feeling, mind and body. Can we not count higher than two? I believe in what I call my own theory is the whole ball of wax. Everything that is part of everything that is the thing. I don't know much about philosophy. I just think that art is part of, now I'll sound like a hippie, part of a cosmic force. It's been here since the beginning. As far as we know, it's never not been here. It isn't just a decorative hedge in civilization. Like I say, it's been here since the beginning. It's no less or no more important than philosophy, science, religion, farming, economics. Name stuff. Name a bunch of fields. Art is part of the whole ball of wax. We don't understand it. You don't have to make sense in your work. And you don't have to make sense of a work of art. Do you understand the Mona Lisa? Duh, no. No, of course not. Anytime you see the Mona Lisa, you always go, I don't know. It's not such a big deal to me. And what I would say to you is, you're not wrong, because we can't see it anymore. But if you look right to your left in the Louvre, here's how I look at the best paintings in museums. You want to know my secret? But don't mess me up and tell people. If this is the painting I want to see, what I do is I do a head fake. Because wherever you look, other people will look. You could go like that, and the whole museum would look at your shoe. Honestly. So here's what I do when I go to, I want that painting, I go like this. And about 6 people will get in back of me. And the second they get there, I feel them and I go, boom! And I get my work. What I want you to do in the gallery when you get there, the Mona Lisa, you go like this, you fight your way to the Mona Lisa. Take a selfie. It's okay with me. I love that shit. And look at it and then go right to your left. There's Madonna in the Rocks by the same artist. And it is a tremendous, complex kind of world of families, family relationships, space. You know, you're fine there. Nobody's looking at it. They just think it's another brown painting. And if they go, what is that? You go, I don't know, piece of junk. You just let them go. When we make our art, we don't analyze it at the same time. I'm not going to bring up SEX, but when you do it with certain things, nudge, nudge, you don't want to be doing it and thinking about it too much, if you understand. Unless, man, we have to think about baseball a lot. Luke Toyman's a very great painter, said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know how to do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel that way all the time. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have a sense of how to do this thing that I think I'm doing. Oscar Wilde, I pledge allegiance to Oscar Wilde, said, this is about understanding in art. The minute you understand a work of art, it is dead to you. That, by the way, can explain the life of, the genetic life of the DNA of art. If I'm going to attack a work of art in this museum, is that okay? You know, I'm an asshole, okay? We looked at a very clever painting. Is this okay? A very clever painting that says, "We the people of the United States" in license plates. Okay, when I first saw it, I went, oh, gee, I love license plates. Americans, we love license plates. Especially in my generation, it's nostalgic. And they said, no, you have to step back and read them. So what I did is I went like, is that what it says, we the? Okay. I stepped back and they said, begin on the upper left, and I went, we, one syllable. I went, we, and then I turned away from the painting and went, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, do hereby. I understood your work, and it died. That's what I would have told the artist, not the museum people. Don't tell them. I'm glad it is here because it can generate many thoughts from other artists to make what we call a rebus, R-E-B-U-S, is called making a sentence out of pictures. A sentence is made out of pictures. I give you the greatest rebus happening right now on our planet is a little thing we call Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, you're not missing a thing, except the formations of millions of rebuses. People, there's no words on Instagram. Some idiot you write, me eating a selfie. It's like nothing. You don't read Instagram. Have you ever done Instagram? You go like this. Zzz, zzz. You're looking at pictures, and the pictures are forming in your mind. And what I would tell you is that this museum tells you the same thing that we were talking about, the citizen artist, Betsy and I. The democratic citizen artist who's not trained. American artists are not always trained. Yes, you all went to school. God love you. I'm glad. I mean it. If I had to tell kids to go or not go, I'd say these days, this is the way it is. Everybody goes to school, go to school. I have no degrees at all. You wonder why I'm such off the wall? I'm insecure about it. I never went to school. I have no degrees. I barely can read. My eyes kind of just jump all over the page when I look at it. I have never read really a catalog when I'm reviewing a show. Why? Because as a weekly critic, I don't have the time. H.L. Mencken said, weekly criticism is written in heat and published at once. And that's really happening now when you're online. It's like, I don't know. I said something assholic 4 minutes ago, but that's ancient history, right? Whoosh. For the complainers about the internet, I would say, you, because more people are writing than have ever written in the history of the world, and it will only get better and more. And more people are reading than have ever read in the history of the world, all combined. I don't care if you judge what the reading is bad. I don't think it's so bad. Yeah, there's a handful of classics. Read them. Change your life. I'm all for that. On Instagram, you're seeing a new space, a new language of pictures being formed. I have no degrees. I was a long-distance truck driver, the only Jewish one of my kind. We're not allowed to do it. But because I'm Jewish, it was only a 10-wheel truck, not 18 wheels. I hauled across country to Florida, which I'm sorry to say this, even though it's Mecca to Jews, I call Florida the worst place in the world. I love you if you're from Florida, but really, Bush 2000, we're still upset on my side. Don't get upset. We can't let it go. That's just the way it is. And to Texas. I hauled art, and I wanted to be in the art world. It's embarrassing sometimes to admit. When I got married, I started crying because for me, what I realized is I was publicly admitting how much I loved love and how much I loved and wanted to be loved. It's a big mess, you know. I wanted to be in the art world bad. I needed art. I don't know why. I wasn't raised with it. I was raised in one of the great suburbs of this country, a place called Oak Park, Illinois. Ever heard of it? Well, Frank Lloyd Wright built about 20 houses there, maybe more. And every day on the way to high school, like taking my shortcuts on the way to my Prairie School Architecture High School, which I always loved walking around in like that. Every day taking my shortcuts, and you come out through the bushes smelling dirt and all this stuff. I would look at the backs of these Frank Lloyd Wright houses and go, there's something special about this. And I got to figure out what this is. So I turned myself into an art critic, the same way artists and museum directors and curators and painters and people that stand in line for lobbyists and are here for free drinks later. Like everybody in the art world. That's what we're doing. I always tell my students, go, it's dinner. Are you crazy? Show up at everything, artists. Show up. I know you're lonely. I know you're depressed. I know you have no underwear on. I don't care. I don't care. We're all in the same frigging boat. Okay? I tried to train myself to do what I do the same way you've tried to. You know what? Brooks, what's his name? Mel Brooks? Called this. He said, we're all doing our phony baloney jobs. I'm telling you, even presidents must feel this way. I'm telling you, you just go, is this working? All the time. Like Luke Toyman said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I do know how to do it, or I have a sense of it. I turned myself into an art critic the way you're turning yourself into an artist. I didn't do a very good job. What I did is I learned to write the way everybody wrote. Well, that is a good way. That's my art history as a critic, okay? And so I would read in these trucks Art Forum. Have you ever seen Art Forum magazine? Big, thick thing filled with ads. That's like our porn in the art world. Wow. Wow. I can't believe how bad that artist is, and they're having a huge show. Your enemies are in there, people you love, people you hate. It's a disaster. It's fabulous. I want to write every month about those ads, but I'm not allowed to do that because if you're not serious in the art world these days, they will come for you. But I'll talk about that if you want to chat about that. So I learned to write that way, like art form. The commodified object of a post-Marxist simulacra finds itself in a cross-current, and I would write these reviews. I had no idea what I was talking about. And I would walk down the streets of New York. They'd get published, $50. It was, remember, I did not start doing what I started doing till I was in my 40s. Why did I start? The same reason I want all of you to start. First of all, I'm going to say something dirty. Grow a pair. Man up, woman up. I don't care what the expression is, okay? Nobody's going to take care of you. You're never going to have enough money. I promise you. Artists, you could marry into money, and I'm all for it. I'm not kidding you. I'm absolutely serious. You like a lawyer and you're an artist? Marry it. I'm absolutely serious. Have a great time. You won't have to work. Mwah. You're not going to hit the lottery. Your parents probably don't have quite enough to get you all the way to like 75 or something. So you're going to be poor. You're not going to get enough love. But I had put off what I wanted to do. You must Exhaust everything you can do before you end up doing what you must do, what you're driven to do, what you have to do or not do anything. And that's what I did in the trucks. So I started writing these terrible reviews, and people would pass me on New York streets and go, "Smart review, Jerry." And I'd go, "Yeah, I'm really smart. I'm very smart. Smart is good." See, bad idea. That's not, I learned to make art in that sense the way other people make art. Are all of you noticing a certain kind of painting that's going on in the art world these days? Sort of monochromatic, all over abstractions based on process. Process meaning like a little spilled water, a stain, like, I don't know, cut something out, crumple it up, put it in a poisoned lake, send it to Beirut, and then have everybody march on front of it in Ferguson. Okay. This work now fetches, my darlings, $1 million. All of this work. And I don't have my phone with me, but when I teach now, I've taken pictures of over. Did you read my article, any of you? I think it was called, "Why Do All These Paintings Look the Same?" It's because art is beginning to self-replicate. And you have to be careful if you self-replicate. Art is starting to look the way other art looks because other art looks that way. Let me give you the most insidious form of it. Art seems to be made by men, mainly, because in the main, art seems to have been made by men. Do you see how that's so easy? It's almost like the children of celebrities already look a little like Kirk Douglas. So you just go with Michael Douglas. Or the children of them, they look and feel, they have the scent of royalty around them. What's happening is we contain multitudes, people. We contain multitudes, like Walt Whitman said. And what's happening is people are making their work in an academic way, a way that will be accepted, a way that will be, "Jerry, you're so smart. You're making the right thing." Jerry is not asking you to ignore the idiom of your time. If it's all over monochromatic abstraction, I'm not here to say, just paint yellow flowers. That's not my point. I am here to say a few more things about this stuff. When your teachers tell you, "Yeah, well, that's pretty good, but Bruce Nauman and Richard Serra did that already." Here's what I want you to say. Do any of you ever hear that from your teachers? Like, it's been done before? Raise your hands if you've heard that. Look around, people, how many people just pop their hands up. What I want you to do with your teachers when they say that is always be respectful, because we're a mess just like you. And say, "Well, thank you, Mr. Saltz." And then in your mind, I want you to pull out a samurai sword and go, "Wow!" What I say to you is, if what you're doing has been done before, here's my advice to you: do it again. And again, and again, and again, and again. Do it 100 times, do it 1,000, maybe 10,000, I don't know. And then call me. Then if I think it still doesn't look like your work, all you have to do, artists, is make your work yours. How much yours? That much. It doesn't take much. That's how powerful good art DNA is. And all of it's been recombined from already existing art. We don't understand art. How many people in this room own dogs? It's weird. All the dog owners have sat on this side of the room. They smell each other. It's bizarre. This always happens. What is your dog's name, ma'am? Popo. Big kind of furry thing. Chihuahua. Popo. Romeo. What kind of dog is Romeo? And do you know what Romeo's doing right now to all of your neighbors? He's barking and crying. And when you get home, no, I swear, I have 4 dachshunds that live below me. And every day I say to the people, you know, you left at 8:20, and I know what time you came back because they were barking the whole time. And dog owners, Popo and Romeo, always go, no, it wasn't our dog. Any other dog owners over here? Yes? Milo. Big? But God damn it. So here's what happens when you call Romeo. Okay, you go, come here, Romeo. And Romeo, most dogs, will kind of and come up to you, slobber on your knee and like that, and wag their tails. And that's a kind of a remarkable thing. Why? Because you're having direct communication with another species. You said a sound that made the other species know that if it would come here, I think dogs have trained us by coming very close to us, you know, about 10,000 years ago, learning that if they could be useful to us, that we would feed them. That their pack instinct told them this, and the bravest dogs, some would kill badgers, others could figure out how to. Barking was very helpful because it would keep the bad animals away. So when they barked, we liked that, and we would feed them. But that's the direct communication. How many of you own cats? They're going to all be over here. Oh my God! It's so crazy. The middle people are like, no, we own chinchillas, you know. Virginia, what is your cat's name? Gibbs. Gibbs, that's such a cat name. Cat name? Shosha. Another cat name. Any more over here? Yes? Wait, the cat people love telling you their animal names. So we're going to hear about 30 right now. No, what? Shadow. Shadow. I think he's gay. That's a dog name. No, I'm kidding. Is it a black cat? Yeah. Duh. I love you too. Wait, what was yours? Shosha, Gibbs, Shadow, Samson, gay. No. Kidding. Liberal. Here's what happens, however, when you call, you know, Gibbs. You go like this. Come here, Gibbs. And maybe Gibbs will kind of stand up, flick its tail, go over to the couch and do this. Then go over here, boom, and sit down. Do you know what has happened, my friends, my fellow travelers? Do you understand what has happened? What's the cat doing? You tell me. The cat put a third object between itself and you. The dog is like us. We can communicate directly. Hey, how are you doing? You want to marry me? That's good. Let's raise a family and go to the film. Okay? That's most people. In the art world, we are driven to dance naked. Everybody dances naked in private. In the art world, we are driven to dance naked in public. You sick fucks. You sick people. Artists want to make this, say, and they go, I made that. Love me forever by everybody. And give me a lot of money and sex, too. That's what art is. They make a third object to place between themselves and the world, and that's how they're getting their love. Like cats. Artists are cats. I happen to be a cat person. I can't stand dogs. The thing is, by the way, well, I'll get into that another time. What do I want artists to be able to do? Do I have a few more minutes to talk before we do questions? You okay, or is it just rambling here? I want you, the job one of the artist is to be able to embed thought in material. Job one. Job one. You can't say, this big white screen is about revolution. To you, it's about revolution. I'm going to say something you may not like if you're an artist. I don't think artists own the meaning of their work. You say that's about revolution. I might say it's about a snowstorm. I don't know. I'm not sure. I would say to you, I'm going to quote a line. One of my favorite poets, so it's a little bit complicated. Wallace Stevens. Have you ever heard of him? He's so great. You'll never understand a word he wrote, but he's great. Modernism. I want you to imagine 20 people, I'll paraphrase it, 20 people cross a bridge into 20 villages. Now I'm going to change that. 20 people cross 20 bridges into 20 villages. Do you understand what he's saying? When you cross a bridge, it's different than when you cross a bridge. So we already have 2 people and 2 bridges. And when you get to the other side, the village that you're in and the village that you're in are not the same. Yes, they're the same. If I suddenly dropped a neutron bomb, you would all both die. I'm not talking about this. I'm saying the subjective experience of the crossing, of the bridge, and of the village is not the same for you as it is for me. I would say to you that 85% of the art that I see is crap. I think that might even be a constant. That 85% of the art made in the bloody Renaissance was crap. We just don't see it. It's gone. They threw it out. Your grandma threw it out. Boom, bang, boom. You can't believe the non-crap that's gotten thrown out. And by the way, we think that about 99.9999% of art that existed before even, say, 1500, destroyed by invading armies, fires, iconoclasts. Every religion comes in, and the first thing you do is you cross out the eyes of the painting, you cut the heads off the sculpture. We're crazy people, we are, because art has a power for us. What was I saying right before the Wallace Stevens? It's subjective. 85% of the art is bad, but your 85% of bad art is totally different than her 85% of bad art. And I'm going to be honest with you, as an art critic, you can't prove that Vermeer is better than Norman Rockwell. If you think Rockwell's better than Vermeer, talk to me later. I might be able to help you, and I like Norman Rockwell. Vermeer, well, I will get into Vermeer later if you want to talk about Vermeer. Art is subjective that way. You might like Matisse, this one likes Mondrian. I don't know. You can't prove one is quantitatively better. That's why art is so great. That's why music is so great. That's why poetry is so great. That's why food is so great. In Indian raga, you don't understand in Indian raga. Is it because its structure is completely foreign to you, but you don't listen to it and go, ew? It's not like a Mondrian. You don't do that. Only in this people understand things like the Kardashians, okay? That's what we understand, and that's a good thing. Movies we understand. That's why movies aren't that big in the art world right now, because movies usually have a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's very foreign to the art world. We're like, couldn't you put the middle at the beginning and have it be all middle? That's a good idea. Make that painting, you punk, you know? So, first job, you have to be able to embed your thought in material, whatever material that is. Next rule for you if you're an artist, never count anyone out. Be nice. Be nice to everybody, for God's sake. Even the ones you hate. The ones you count out, they sometimes stick around and they can really surprise you. So I would just say, accept things. A couple more things before I let you ask some questions about now, or what's being made now, or what's wrong with me, or art, or the art world, or how much you hated the TV show I was on. Did you see that TV show? My wife never saw it once. I was on a reality TV show. What a mess. I would say to you, artists, envy will eat you alive. You must make an enemy of envy. Envy is about always looking out, never looking at yourself. Always comparing this one's ankles to your ankles, that one's success to your success. You must not ever be defined by rejection or failure, ever. If I don't like your work, you know what it means? 20 villages, 20 bridges, 20 people. It means I don't like your work. It doesn't mean your work is bad. However, I'm going to tell you something tough. I think there's a grain of truth in every criticism. I read all this crap written about me every day. I look online and I go, ouch, ooh, ow, ow, ow. Why do they hate me so? But on every criticism, I always stop for a minute and I think, I left something in my work that allowed them to say it was about a snowstorm. I am responsible. Before Van Gogh, artists used to say, what's wrong with my work? That they don't get it. After Van Gogh, there was a shift, and you're living in it now. Everybody goes, what's wrong with them that they don't get my work? That's looking out. You can't do anything about the art. If they don't like your work, tough nuts. I am sorry. You're going to either have to find a way for people to like your work, or find the people to like your work. Do you know what success entails? Do you know what it entails? Not as much as you think, other than work, 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 work. Work is the only thing. There's only work. That is the most important thing for me. I have no life. No life. All I do is I look at about 30 or 40 shows a week in New York. I know, I'm going blind from it. I look at art in New York, and then I go home and write about it. I haven't had breakfast, lunch, or dinner with anybody casually in New York with a friend since November 1998. That was the week I became a weekly critic. There is no time. I am a dying species. There are about 11 weekly critics left in this country. And we will not be replaced. We are the dodo birds, okay? We're not going to be... When the New Yorker owners, the family publication of the New Yorker, when the Cy Newhouse dies, a magazine this thick can't keep going. How? Can the New York Times transition to being all online? Hope so. In the meantime, I am one of the last people paid to do this full time. That's why I don't have any other time. And so you better love working. You better love working. You're going to spend ungodly amounts of time alone. Ungodly. When we go to openings, we always see artists looking the same way. Always the same way. Like, am I normal? Is this okay? Am I walking normal? And what I do at openings, by the way, here's what I do at openings to seem normal, because I just need to go out for 2 hours. That's what I do. After a long day of writing, I wake up very early, and my demons speak early. Like I wake up and go, my work's no good, that's it. You at least have breakfast. Me, I'm way before breakfast. No tea, that's it. And so I have to get working immediately. And I count the only solution for work block on the planet Earth is work. Just fucking work, you big babies. You're not driving a truck. You're not driving a taxi. You're not a waitress. I know you are half part-time. But all you are is have some phony baloney job. I know it. You're not working 40 hours. You're figured out some way to work far fewer than that. You have to work. And you have to surround yourself with other artists. Form gangs, form groups. You must protect each other. You must protect the runt in your group more than anyone else. Why? Because about 4 of the other people in the group think you're the runt. They're just never going to tell you. They're never going to tell you. You never break ranks. There's no space between you out in the world. When you go in the world, my advice again, show up for everything. Show up. See what life smells and feels like. A lot of people have observed that all the people who seem to get things are the people that seem to apply for them. Nobody's going to call you and say, oh, you know, I think this lottery ticket is yours. You're not going to make enough money. You're not going to have enough love. Not my problem. I would not be, if I were you, I would only be an artist. Don't be an artist. Don't be an artist. Unless you really, 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 really have to. Really. You know what I'm now saying to all these governors that want to secede? Go. Go. You don't want to be part of the United States of America? We give you more money than you give us. Go. If you're going to be a big whiny, complainy baby. This is a big bloody mess. It always is, just like art. Just work. Okay? That's all I do. That's all I want you to do. And how do I look at art? I want to show you one little thing before I stop here. This is how I look at art. I once saw Jasper Johns stand like this, so it seems that I stand like this, and my wife thinks I'm a maniac. So I stand like this when I look at art. And she always goes, why are you standing that way? And I always go, what way? And when I think you're looking at me or I'm being looked at, looking at art, I'll go like this. Now, I'll show you how artists look at art. Ready? The same art, and here's what they do. They go. Okay, artist, tell them, what are you doing? Tell them. You want to see how it's made? They all know. And I'll translate it into a simple, one word. They're stealing. You better believe you should be stealing, you idiots. Of course you should steal. I mean, what? The drip is on the wall. It's yours. All art, my darlings, my pilgrim gypsy, misfit maniacs. All art is contemporary art, from the cave painting to today. Why? Because it all exists now for us in the present. And then we're gone and it stays. And then it'll become contemporary for the next. You have a shot. You have a 100-year window on this thing. Okay? Everything is in play. That's how artists look at art and the way they should. Here's what happens every morning on the phone in New York or in your house. When I call my artist friends or they call me and say, well, how about the shows? We only talk about art. We're the most boring people in the world. Nothing else. I talk about football a little. Damn Giants and Jets. But you're Redskins, you're in a mess too. We're taking your name. I'm okay with it. I'm a liberal. Okay. When I talk to my friends about art, here's how the critic talks. I go, I liked this one the most. I felt this was the most derivative. This showed me the progress they were doing, la, la, la. I'm trying to get who have they looked at? How does this fit with their last show? And I'm working. And I always want you to be working with your friends. Don't be a fancy, smarty-ass pants. Be yourself. I'm asking you to be radically vulnerable. Radical vulnerability at all times. I want you to be as vulnerable as the object you're talking about, the person you're talking to. Okay? So I tell my artist friends blah, 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 and then I'll say to them, what did you think? And they'll go, shiny, shiny, bumpy. It was very bumpy. What they discovered when they got close to the damn thing is that there was little silicone, say, mixed into the paint. And they scratched some off. And that's what they're bloody doing in there. And there's what they should be doing. Who cares what the critics are looking? They're right. Artists are right. How is something made is what something is. There's the lack of separation again. See how the critic unconsciously stepped back? But we're working in a different language, words, okay? I would tell artists, do everything. Everything. If you want to make movies and slides and Instagram and paintings and sculpture and dog beds, do it. Do it. There should be no line of investigation close to you. Not one. If you're thinking about making, but what about my consistency? I would say, get out of here. Who cares about consistency? I'm not looking for more shows that look more or less the same. Here's how you all walk into a lot of shows. Bye. And you're gone, right? I want you, my artists, to fail flamboyantly. Fail flamboyantly. Even if you're just making all gray paintings, find a way to make those gray paintings yours and yours alone. If I like this much of one thing in one show, I'll follow you. I'll follow you. That's all I need. One whiff of blood. I could kill this person. I could eat them. I could steal from you. You see, that's what the critics are thinking. I can gain access to this. Whatever your obsessions are, they better be near your work. They better maybe even be, if you love sewing, I need sewing in there. I met a kid out at Cal Arts years back. He loved pornography. I said, well, it's kind of male. And he then produced photographs. He loved it so much he could identify each photographer of any pornographic shoot. I said, you need pornography in your work. And he did, and he's fine. And that was his obsession. Even if your obsession is just painting stripes. I don't know how it happens. A lot of artists paint stripes. It's squares and triangles and flowers and horses and horses. A lot of people have painted horses. What are you going to do? You don't choose your subject matter. Your subject matter is choosing you. Your subject matter is choosing you. You don't quite know how you got there, but all of a sudden, artists can spend a whole lifetime drawing the same composition. Did you see that old movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind? You should see it. It's an artist parable. The lead character keeps walking around making a kind of a mound shape, and all this he says to people is just what you idiot artists say. This is important. This means something. This is important. This means something. Give yourself total permission, please. That's what the art world is. Don't let yourself be policed in any way, shape, or form. Don't be a sociopath. Or worse, a psychopath. But in your work, you can be a sociopath. Do you know, if Nabokov writes about Lolita, it does not make him a pedophile. If you think about rape, it doesn't mean you want to be raped or you want to rape. We are in a new art world where if I violate the politically correct codes of our world, we're attacking ourselves. We're eating our young. Have you noticed? Something is happening about certain kind of policing of our language. Has any of you noticed that? I have, being in the center of a lot of storms. When I didn't like Oscar Murillo's work, can I talk a little more as a time for questions? You know what? I'll keep blabbing, so I better stop. You nodded yes, stop. Your career's over. All right, I'm going to drink some water, and I hope some of you have some questions. I'll tell you anything you want to know, how to get famous, what to do, where to go, anything you ever want to know. And thank you for listening for the last hour. Thank you.